A vaccine is the hope for the future, but there's uncertainty about when and indeed if it can be made. After all, after 40 years of trying, we still don't have an effective vaccine for HIV, and the fastest we've ever produced a vaccine from scratch is with Ebola, and that took around 5 years. So where else can we look for a solution? Trudy, we're constantly hearing media reports about potential miracle cures for coronavirus. Are we trialling lots of new drugs?
So across the globe right now, there's over 600 trials that are testing potential therapeutic interventions for coronavirus, for COVID-19. And they're across the whole spectrum, from really early stages of the disease right through to the severe diseases in hospital.
How exactly do antiviral drugs work?
Antivirals work by either stopping the virus entering a cell in the first place, or when it gets inside the cell, stopping it from being able to divide within the cell. And at the beginning of the disease is when you get that huge increase in the amount of virus in a patient, and that's really the best place to stop the disease before the worst symptoms can occur.
It makes me think that, as far as I'm aware, we don't have any really effective antiviral drugs for the really common viruses that cause severe airway or respiratory infections.
In the history of medical science now, we don't have a drug that we can take easily just to treat those respiratory infections, as you say.
This is obviously a novel virus. Do we know enough about it yet to start developing brand new drugs?
I don't think we're going to have time. The problem in outbreaks is you have this very finite window in which to run clinical trials. So, for example, when we were working in the Ebola outbreak, we ran the first trials ever to happen in those sorts of situations. So we managed to do that within 16 weeks to get the trial started. And here we're seeing these timelines brought down even more. And so we're unlikely to have that time within the window.
From what you're saying, I get the impression you're optimistic that we will run some very good trials, but I'm not feeling huge optimism that we will get a drug that will be really effective in limiting disease in coronavirus.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think it's such a tall order. We have to pick the right drug, the right dose, testing it in the right population of people. And it's quite a gamble of whether we've lined all those things up or not. So I'm quite confident we'll run trials that answer the questions the trials set. But whether or not that results in a drug that we can say we can use for coronaviruses, we have to wait and see.